Hey everybody, it's Amanda.
And Rick, your phone's a lot faster.
This is much faster. It's time for our evening Bible study. I'm going to go ahead and share the link.
You have this thing propped.
Where I always do.
Okay.
It's great.
Has it fallen yet?
Never, Lord forbid.
No. It's bigger than the other one. I'm talking to the wife. It's bigger than the other one, but it's not as thick. You know, the case is not as thick.
It's good.
So I'm afraid it'll fall on you. Okay,
Yes.
we're going to go with it.
Hey, how are you guys?
Yes. How's everyone? You sharing your links?
Yes, I am.
We are up to chapter 27. Chapter 27. Oh yeah, the retirement.
Oh, he went in for his party today. How was it?
That's nice.
Did Jorge feel honored?
That's nice. Wow, yeah. I was thinking it was another day or two, but we're midweek now. It was midweek.
Yeah, well, he
Congratulations,
actually
sir.
retires tomorrow.
Tomorrow
But
is
she
it?
said that he wasn't going in Wednesday,
Mm-hmm.
that he is going in today for a party. At least that's, I think I got it right.
So he's done, right?
I think so.
Wow, that's exciting. That's really neat. You know, that's like the end. Not the end, but, close that door and let's see what the Lord has beyond this. That's really good.
Mm-hmm. Congratulations, Jorge.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Oh, they gave him a retired badge and a plaque. He is done. Very
I really
nice.
like that. That's very commendable.
34 years.
That is awesome.
Wow.
That really is.
Okay.
Went out like a champion. Seriously.
Ambi, I'm glad you're good.
So, I mean, it's funny. You know what? I'm going to be honest with you.
What?
Nowadays,
You can retire soon.
Nowadays, it's hard to find people that have been married a long time. You know what I'm saying? It's really getting just as hard to find people who've stayed at a job for so long.
Yeah. That's absolutely
Yeah, a
true.
lot of people don't. A lot of people go here and go there and never settle anywhere. To stay in one place that long and be able to retire with your head held high and everything, that's really commendable. Congratulations, truly.
All right. Well, I've got everything shared, so we don't need to worry about that anymore. And I have all the links up. So we are good, and we can get started with the Bible study. And I think it's best that we do because I'm awfully tired tonight. So
Yeah,
forgive me if I yawn.
No, you're
but-
fine, and they'll understand.
Yeah.
I'm going to speak for ladies crying. I'm going to speak for my wife for a minute and just say flat out that this is one story that is 46 verses or so, but we're going to break it up into 2 nights.
Where he said hi, and he said thank you.
Oh, you're very welcome. Very welcome. And again, congratulations. That is really good. Anyway, we're going to break it up. So in the next 2 nights, we're going to talk about the one story, but we're going to stop tonight midway. So when we stop tonight, the chapter won't be done. The story will not be done. It will be to be continued for tomorrow. Okay? Because it is long. 46 verses. Go ahead.
Okay.
I'm giving them the heads up. That's what we call it. We call it the heads up.
Genesis 27, starting at verse 1. And it says, "And it came to pass that when Isaac was old and his eyes were dim so that he could not see."
We're back to Jacob and Esau again. And they're going to do some rascal type things. More family drama is afoot. Go ahead. I love you. I won't interrupt you again, I promise. Continue on.
His eyes were dim, so that he could not see. He called Esau his eldest son and said unto him, My son. And he said unto him, Behold, here am I. And he said, Behold now, I am old. I know not the day of my death. Now therefore take, I pray thee, thy weapons, thy quiver, and thy bow, and go out to the field, and take me some venison, and make me savory meat, such as I love, and bring it to me, that I may eat, that my soul may bless thee before I die. And Rebekah heard when Isaac spake to Esau his son. And Esau went to the field to hunt for venison, and to bring it. And Rebekah spake unto Jacob her son, saying, Behold, I heard thy father speak unto Esau thy brother, saying, Bring me venison, and make me savory meat, that I may eat, and bless thee before the Lord before my death. Now therefore, my son, obey my voice according to that which I command thee. Go now to the flock, and fetch me from thence 2 good kids of the goats. I will make them savory meat for thy father, such as he loveth. And thou shalt bring it to thy father, that he may eat, and that he may bless thee before his death. And Jacob said to Rebekah his mother, Behold, Esau my brother is a hairy man, and I am a smooth man. My father peradventure will feel me, and I shall seem to him as a deceiver. I shall bring a curse upon me, and not a blessing. And his mother said unto him, Upon me be thy curse, my son, only obey my voice, and go fetch me them. And he went and fetched, and brought them to his mother, and his mother made savory meat, such as his father loved. And Rebekah took goodly raiment of her eldest son Esau, which were with her in the house, and put them upon Jacob her younger son. And she put the skins of the kids of the goats upon his hands, and the smooth of his neck. And she gave the savory meat and the bread which she had prepared into the hand of her son Jacob. And he came unto his father, and said, My father. And he said, Here am I. And who art thou, my son? And Jacob said unto his father, I am Esau, thy firstborn. I have done according as thou badest me. Arise, I pray thee, sit and eat of my venison, that thy soul may bless me. And Isaac said unto his son, How is it that thou hast found it so quickly, my son? And he said, Because the Lord thy God brought it to me. And Isaac said unto Jacob, Come near, I pray thee, that I may feel thee, my son, whether thou be my very son Esau or not. And Jacob went near unto Isaac his father, and he felt him, and said, The voice is Jacob's voice, but the hands are the hands of Esau. And he discerned him not, because his hands were hairy as his brother Esau's hands, so he blessed him. And he said, Art thou my very son Esau? And he said, I am. And he said, Bring it near to me, and I will eat of my son's venison, that my soul may bless thee. And he brought it near to him, and he did eat, and he brought him wine, and he drank. And his father Isaac said unto him, Come near now, and kiss me, my son. And he came near and kissed him, and he smelled the smell of his raiment, and blessed him, and said, See, the smell of my son is as the smell of the field, which the Lord hath blessed. Therefore give thee of the dew of heaven, and the fatness of the earth, and plenty of corn and wine. Let people serve thee, and nations bow down to thee. Be Lord over thy brethren, and let thy mother's sons bow down to thee. Cursed be everyone that curseth thee, and blessed be he that blesseth thee. And that's where we're going to stop tonight, when Jacob received the blessing. So, hello, I see everybody here. Okay, good. So, we've now gone through all of Isaac's life. He has gotten to where he is so old that he can't really see well, and he senses that his end is near, and he has decided that he wants to bless his oldest son. And so he says to him, I know this is coming. I want you to take your weapons, go in the field, and make me some venison, and I'm going to give you a blessing before I die. And that's the first 4 verses. So I'll let you roll with that, because I'm sure you got something to do there.
Is that how you want to do it? Just break it up every couple?
Yeah.
Because I almost was ready to
I
just
hope you
talk
can't
about
do
it.
it verse by verse.
No, I was almost going to talk about the whole passage as one.
Oh.
But
Okay,
we can
you
break
do
it
that.
up.
I just read the whole thing.
Yeah. So you get kind of what's going on. Isaac wants to bless the one son, and Esau goes out to get savory meats. He wanted to bless his son. And Rebekah hears it and says, Oh, no. You're going to bless Jacob, is what she's saying to her,
In her heart.
Yeah. And she cooks up this little scheme with Jacob. And makes Jacob seem to the older Isaac now, like it's Esau.
Mm-hmm.
You know, puts like disguise kind of thing, and puts in, and then he's got the food and everything, and he goes in, and he is pretending to be Esau, and the whole purpose of it was so Jacob could sneak in and get the blessing, and not Esau. And yes, I'll say, you know, it worked. You know, they got what they wanted. And what have we already? What do we already know about Esau, though? He's already given up his birthright. Remember, we read that a couple chapters ago. That was, you know, that was a whole different thing. And but now there's this blessing that the dad was going to bless him with, or you know, a prayer that he was going to pray, and pray a blessing on his son. And Jacob, hey, he wanted that too, that kind of thing. And I will point out that it just, the family drama, like I said, it continues through each generation. You know, and we kind of just, we keep seeing it. There's the dad, the patriarch, and then he dies off the scene. The son takes over, and the son becomes the patriarch, and then he dies and all. And then but the sin thing just keeps on going. You know, all the deceiving and everything. What's wrong? Am I getting off track? But I will say that, okay, he says, "Behold, now I am old, and I know not the day of my death." And folks, none of us do. No one knows when they're going to die, only the Lord. And I want to say that, to me, see, it's a motivation. Oh, Isaac, and I'm not trying to be mean with Isaac. I'm being honest. He had the two sons and a wife. And honestly and truly, he should have been focusing on making sure that the whole family was taken care of. Nothing to do with blessing the one son and not the other, because I mean, I'm not going into tradition and everything. Want to bless the older son and all. I got you. But the thing is that when you look at all these passages together, the family was in kind of disarray. Even you brought it up, and you were probably itching to say it, but like the husband and the wife were not communicating well. The husband, the mom and dad, the parents, Rebecca and Isaac, and the children had no real communication. And even the siblings.
They'd taken sides, they'd chosen favorites.
Between the brothers, there was very little communication.
Because the parents had taken sides and chosen favorites.
Mm-hmm. And that's true, and it just trickles down. You know, the way the way Esau and Jacob got along kind of echoes in my mind of Cain and Abel. Of course, Cain slew his brother, and we don't have one killing the other here. Excuse me, but there's definitely some bitterness, hatred, not a fondness, not a brotherly love at all. To the point I'd say of just about enemies.
Yeah, which I still think goes back to the parents.
Oh, yeah.
They're responsible for picking sides and rather than just encouraging unity within the household.
Mm-hmm. But you know, in all honesty, you remember when the babes were in the room, and the one grabbed the other, kind of thing. And perhaps this was something that was always going to be. You know, we talked about how the two nations here are the Israelites and the Edomites, that thing. So, to me, when you know there's already trouble, because every mom and dad, the day they go into the delivery room, what's coming out is a sinner. You know, it's always been that way ever since chapter 3 of Genesis. Every child's been a sinner. So you really have to stay on it. Moms and dads have to stay on it, because you gotta make sure that at the very least the children are obedient, and also you want to work toward them having some sort of relationship and all that kind of stuff. You can jump in anywhere you like.
I don't know where you're at.
Oh, well, I was just talking about the whole tale, the whole thing.
That's what I'll jump in when I'm ready. You just keep talking.
Okay, all right. So, all right. How about the? I was talking about the husband and wife drama. They're not communicating.
Okay.
And folks, I'm making just practical applications here. This is something that could happen in a household today. I no doubt it does. Maybe a dad has one son, he's a football guy, or he's a hunter in North Carolina. They would like the cunning hunter like Esau. And then you have the other one, and maybe they're a tech guy. Maybe they like the computers and everything. Well, mom likes the computers, but dad likes the hunter, and that kind of thing. And it does cause a lot of division. And I'm not taking God out of the equation, and maybe I'm making it too practical, but you get one shot at a family unit. Our son Ricky's already married and gone, and we'll have more time with him, but it won't be the same as when he was under our roof and we had him. And you only have so long with children, and you really got to make sure that the communication is there, and you're actually training up the child in the way he should go, and that kind of thing. And one of the things that you got to do is your moms and dads have to be on the same page. It is crazy when dad wants to raise the family one way, mom wants to raise it another way, and they can never come to the same agreement. We've talked about in the New Testament when we were covering Ephesians and everything about how the dad is the head of the household and the mom, but the mom's there too. And yes, the mom, the wife is to submit to the husband's leadership, but in the child raising, folks, you're a team. And maybe we can make an argument for sure that the dad has the final say. But the dad and the mom are a team, and they need to discuss and plan things out like a team.
That's a good point. I never really thought about it in that way because, like, honestly, if Isaac had discussed the whole blessing plan with Rebecca, they could have had a conversation about it. They could have talked about how the Lord had said that the elder would serve the younger. He could have been more judicious in the choice of his blessing, making sure there was room for blessing for both. That was honoring to the Lord and was going to be fair to both of them. Because, by the way, the blessing is not the birthright. Okay, the birthright was essentially like an inheritance, and one was entitled to like a double. The birthright is the person who gets like the double portion than the other child, and that's just to make sure that the family line maintains any kind of wealth. But the blessing is just a blessing, which I say just a blessing. It doesn't come with any money or financial gain of any kind. It's just a literal blessing, but it had power in and of itself. He was saying, the direction that he was praying that his life would go, and the Lord was honoring to those blessings. So when he gives the blessing, if he'd been wiser, if he'd talked to his wife and they'd had a conversation about it, they could have talked about the best way to divide up the blessing that was going to honor the Lord and be fair to both boys. But instead, Isaac tries to sneak over here and say, Esau, just go get me some venison, I give you the blessing. And then Rebecca, being sneaky, is like, hey, I overheard your dad talking to Esau. Why don't you go get something, and you're going to get the blessing. And they're over here trying to sort stuff out rather than working together. And I think that is exactly where the problem, that's what I said, is the parents not being together on the things that they're doing.
Yeah. and I'm going to make a point here because, you're being funny in a way, but you're being serious. I mean, this is the way it probably played out. And folks, don't forget that these are the folks that the Lord is truly blessing. I mean, it's Abraham and Isaac and now Jacob and all the tales that surround these folks' lives. Some of them are kind of, they're not the kind that you would commend. They're not the kind that you would say, hey, look at how faithful I've been. These are kind of like, it's a shame. And but still, the Lord has started blessing this family, this line. And it goes right back to what we've been saying every single night. It was because of their faith. And it's because of God's promise to begin with that he was going to bless Abraham. And see, God cannot lie. And when God says, I promise that I'm going to do this, he's going to do this. And if he didn't do it, he would cease to be God. He'd cease to be perfect. Of course, God's going to keep his promises. He's not a liar. He's holy. He can't lie. So these are the folks that are getting blessed here. But it encourages me because I understand that, hey, all I am, Rick Beal, is a sinner saved by grace. You know, I strive, I try, I want to live the Christian life to the glory of God. But I do know that many times I get grumpy. You know, sometimes I just cannot make my coffee strong enough. I get mad. And in those moments, is the Lord pleased with me? No. The Lord's never pleased with sin. Let's not paint that picture. God is never pleased with sin. But God doesn't cease to love me. The promises that God has promised me, they don't cease to be. That's why I say you can't lose your salvation. When I trust Jesus Christ to be my Lord and Savior, I've already done that. But when I did, I was saved. I received a promise of God. If I called, I was saved. And I called and I was saved, period. So when Henri Richard comes out of the bedroom because he's got up on the wrong side, I haven't lost my salvation because I'm not basing my salvation on which side of the bed I get up on.
And the Lord doesn't base it on that either.
Exactly. I'm basing my salvation on God's promise to me, and God wrote the book. God wrote, it's his words. And he said, hey, you call on me, you're saved. Abraham had faith. God counted to him for righteousness. And it was through his line that God said he would bless. So Isaac got blessed. Jacob now is going to carry that down the road. And all this is the work of God. And it's really, I'm not saying man has nothing to do with it, but as far as being promised and God fulfilling his promise, that's all on God. That's not on us. And but like I said, all that to say this, that this little family here encourages me. Because I'll tell you what, we have tried to raise a family here that would glorify the Lord. And sometimes, you know what I mean.
It's not perfect.
The Beal family's not perfect.
No.
And there's not a family out
Don't
there
think it is.
that's perfect.
No.
Every family has struggles. Every
right.
family has little things like, I can't believe that happened. I
And
can't
big
believe they did
things.
that. You know, that all that
There's
kind of
just
stuff.
no doubt about it.
But you know, God is still God.
That's right.
And he still loves us.
He's bigger than all the problems.
And he is still our God. And, you know, the Christian life is not easy. But God's promises that he will go along with you. And he helps us along the way. And he does offer a cleansing, forgiveness and fellowship again. And yes, he does revive. He revives families. We always talk about God reviving a church. God can revive a family. You know, if this little thing that we're reading about tonight with Isaac and Rebekah and then Jacob and Esau and all the back and the forth and the lying and the deceiving, I mean, if you can say something like, hey, you know, I came from a family that would do something like that. You know, the Lord can forgive. The Lord can revive a family and get them back on track. He really can. All that to say this, I mean, it's like Esau, well, we won't talk necessarily about Esau tonight, but Isaac and Jacob and all this stuff, this isn't the last we'll hear of Jacob. Jacob's going to have some highs and he's going to have some lows. And he's going to have some highs and he's going to have some lows. And that's everybody here. God, the story that we have with the Lord just continues on.
So Rebekah and Isaac, well, really, Rebekah hatched the plan. Her and Isaac put it into action. And they start doing some deception. The deception does lead to the results that they were looking for. And I think it's true in real life sometimes people do wrong things and they get away with it. It seems like they get away with it. or things seem to go in their favor even though they're doing something wrong. And the truth of the
That's
matter
good.
is that we are not to do wrong even if we think we're doing it for the right reasons. You know, Jacob
Yeah.
would have ended up the leader regardless.
Mm-hmm.
The Lord had already said it. But that in doing wrong, there was lots of trouble, lots of consequences that they
Yeah.
had to deal with by doing things the wrong way. So even though he did get that blessing, it came at a great cost. And it divided their family, and we'll read about it, that caused a lot of trouble. So even though we're not seeing all of that trouble in this moment, even though it seems like he got everything his way and it's all good, just know that sometimes when people do wrong, it seems like everything's going okay immediately. You have to wait sometimes for the consequences to come on down the road.
And sometimes the what you will miss is peace.
Oh, yeah.
Because I'm not going to go all the way there now, but there's later down the road, Isaac and Esau meet up again.
Oh, yeah.
Further down the road, and Jacob is nervous. He doesn't have peace. He's restless about it because he realizes
He
that,
did it wrong.
that he's pretty much stabbed his brother in the back.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, time and time again, really, and that kind of thing. So I'll tell you, you may deceive and do things like that to get your way, but the peace that you have, or the peace that you could have, you forfeit in order to get what you think you needed. It's much better. See, just trying to do something, just trying to get something that's right, and you think, hey, I got the right motivation here. It's right. If you do it the wrong way, it's still wrong.
Yep.
You follow what I'm saying? It's like, hey, let's say you go to a church. You're a member of a church, and everybody on Sunday afternoon, Sunday evening, they all raise their hand and they vote that, hey, we should start a building project. We have this auditorium here. We need a bigger auditorium. We need to fill this place. We have a lot of visitors coming, and we can't seat everybody. We need a bigger auditorium. Preacher says, hey, we need a vote on it. Everybody raises their hand. Let's build a bigger auditorium. Someone says, well, how much money do we have? Not enough to build a big auditorium. So somebody says, hey, I got the right motivation. I want to build a big auditorium so we can bring in a bunch of people. They can hear the gospel. They can get saved. That's a good thing, right? Yeah, it is. But then you think, well, okay, well, how can I raise money? I know. I'll go rob a bank. You know what I mean? Or I'll cheat my neighbors out of something, or I'll steal it. You know, that kind of thing. You get what I'm saying? You say, Richard, you're being extreme, but that's sometimes the way people think. You know, maybe not in that way, but you know what I mean? They bend things.
They don't think they're going as far as that, but the truth of the matter, it's just as wicked.
They think because their target is a good one and their motivation is good, the way they can go about getting it achieved, we can you know, be a little shady, but God will understand. We can do things a little backhanded, but it'll all work out in the end. That kind of thing. And no, the Christian is called to walk in light. The Christian is called to be an arrow that points right to God. And folks, that's not shady. That you're in the open. You're before everybody. You need to make sure that you keep a good, straight, clean testimony before God and man. We represent Christ on this earth. And understand this, you read the Gospels and try to find where Christ did something that was shady. You know, when the Lord conducted his business, he did it straight and right, that kind of thing. And we as his people, we need to do the same thing too. You need a few dollars for an auditorium, pray it in. Work for it and put it in an offering plate, open up an account. You know what I mean? And eventually it will be there, that kind of thing. But we have to make sure that our dealings are straight. Our dealings are honest. Maybe that's the word I'm looking for. Honest and right and pure. Everything that we do, all the details of life, everything's got to be right because we represent Christ. That kind of thing. And I think the thing that we were trying to get at is Isaac and Rebekah and Esau and Jacob. With God's promise aside, just looking at the way these four kind of dealt with one another was not really. Would you consider it a loving household? Would you consider it a household that was joyous, maybe like on Thanksgiving? You know what I mean? It's not. And folks, we are called to live so much higher, a higher standard. The idea of loving one another and sacrificing for one another and all this kind of things. And the reason that we have all these old things in the Old Testament, and I think I said this last night, they're for our examples. You know, why in the world do I have a story about Jacob and Esau and Isaac and Rebekah? This is 2020. I'm reading about this tonight. How do I apply this? Well, it's an example for me to apply to my life now. The Lord is good to us. The Lord wants to bless us, but the Lord wants us to live right and not be deceiving, you know, that kind of thing. Understand this, that a person can have faith in God and be God's child. And a person can be blessed of God and have the promises of God and still, in those wee moments, do things that are just as wicked as a lost person. Are they still loved by God? Yes. Are they still going to heaven? Yes. But did they do something that was downright wicked? Absolutely. And the point is that as believers today, we should be striving not to do that. I don't want to waste one moment of giving God glory. I want God to look at me like in the book of Job, when Satan was talking to God, and he said, "Have you considered my servant Job? There's no one like him in all the earth." You know, he hates evil. He chooses to do good. That kind of thing. I want the Lord to be able to say that about me and everyone in my household. And am I rambling? I may be rambling. You did the scrunch.
That's all right. People love to hear you talk.
Well, somewhere in the last 10 minutes of rambles, there must have been something.
You were on point.
There must have been something.
You were on point. Pink said she was thinking of Job.
Yeah, exactly. I want to be, but you know what? This is the thing. Because I'm thinking of it like in Isaac. I know Isaac is an older man. He's to the point of old age where he can't even tell which son he's talking to.
I know.
You know, and you know that a lot of people live that long, and a lot of people have those kind of health troubles and things, and that's fine. I'm not pointing a finger at that, but the point I want is, as a dad, as a husband, you don't want the Lord just to say, "Hey, have you considered my servant Rick Beal? There's none like him in all the earth, a man who hates evil," and all this stuff. I'm the head of my household. So I want the Lord to be able to say that about everybody in my household. My point is that Isaac had a responsibility to make sure his wife was godly and her heart was, you know, godly. And same with both sons. And you can have dealings with one son that are different than dealings with another, but you're responsible for both. That kind of thing. I think of Abraham. You know, he had Isaac, and Isaac got everything Abraham had, but the other sons that he had after Sarah died, he still gave gifts. And we made point the other night to say that these weren't like chia pets and things. You know what I mean? These weren't like little rink-a-dink gifts, like holiday gifts. These were, you know, he took care of them so they could have families of their own and lives of their own and stuff. And the idea is that Isaac was dropping the ball here.
Well, the last thing that we could mention is about the blessing itself. I don't know if you have anything particular to mention about the actual blessing.
Well, I don't know. It kind of, unless you just want to restate it, because it really said what it said.
Because I don't know that we have to speak any more about the deception, because, I mean, we all know what it is. But in the end, he gave him a blessing, and he said, "Therefore God give thee of the dew of heaven, and the fatness of the earth, and plenty of corn and wine." By the way, that corn is grain. Let people serve thee, and nations bow down to thee. Be Lord over thy brethren, and let thy mother's sons bow down to thee. Cursed be every one that curseth thee, and blessed be he that blesseth thee. He just gave them everything, covered it all.
He really did.
Dew of heaven, fatness of the earth, corn and wine, and everybody serve him and bow down to him, even his brothers. And cursed are the people who curse him, and blessed are the people that bless him. In just a few sentences, he gave him every possible blessing.
And you know what? In all honesty, it's multiplied. It's not just really to Jacob. You got to understand, it's really to the entire nation. That is soon coming. Because in all honesty, the Lord has always taken care of the nation of Israel. You know, all through the Old Testament, you'll read that the blessings of the Lord were always to the nation of Israel. He took care of them. Even when they went into bondage, even when they turned their backs on him, even when all these things happened, he kept wanting the nation of Israel to be close to him and know him. And he still does. He still does. You know, many of the verses in the New Testament that talk about salvation and such, it says to the Jew first and also to the Greek. And I'm thankful for that because I'm saved. But, you know, God's heart is for the nation of Israel to know him as Lord and personal Savior. And a lot of these blessings that he blessed Jacob with, like I said, in a grander scheme here, or a grander vision or whatever, the Lord was blessing the nation of Israel. He's always taken care of their needs. He's always provided for them. You have this little pocket of people on this big earth, and much of this world has, for many, many, many moons, hated them, tried to persecute them, try to wipe them out, and they're still here, and they thrive. You know, how can you explain that? They can go through all kinds of persecutions and wars and things, and they're still there. You know, they have God's hand on them is why. So, anyway, I think we can close with that.
Well, that's just the beginning of the story. Tomorrow we're going to read the end results, at least the immediate end results, which still aren't great.
No, but we were talking about Jacob, and the end of it is talking about Esau. And Esau, knucklehead, you know? You know what I mean? Gives up the birthright, you know, that kind of thing.
You can't fault him on the blessing. He didn't do anything wrong there.
No, but he had already, it was already going, snowballing down. He does, like last night, he did married this lady, married that lady.
Yeah.
The mom and dad were already, you know. But we'll talk about Esau tomorrow. But I think, before I pray, what I'm pulling away from this, just to make little applications so we can think about it before we go, I'm just seeing this, it's something that truly happened. And folks, the Lord, he did not say, hey, this is what I want you to do. These people were acting outside of God's will, deceiving. God's plan is never to deceive. God may bless someone who deceives. God may forgive someone who deceives. But God doesn't say, hey, Rick Beal, deceive this person and deceive that person. We're called to be honest. We're called to be straight. That's why we're challenged in the New Testament not to yoke up with an unbeliever, because an unbeliever will live a life that's not godly, obviously, and they'll conduct their business ungodly. So we're challenged to live straight and live honest. And folks, I hope that's your commitment tonight. Lord, you know, whatever dealings I have, whatever things I'm trying to do in life, I want to have a good target, but I also want to conduct my business in a straight, honest way. Okay? I'll pray. Thank you, Lord, for tonight. And Lord, I pray that the applications that we made tonight were ones that we could really think about, meditate on, and I pray that you will really help us to see if there's any area in our life where we can apply this to. Lord, it is good to do your will. but it is wrong to try to do your will by deceiving others and just trying to do things that are not right. Lord, help us to live to a high standard, not so people think we're great, but so people will know that you are, because we serve you, and it matters how we serve you. Lord, do a work in our hearts. Help us to be right stewards, right servants. Thank you, Lord, for guiding us, for directing us, and for loving us each and every day. We bless you and we thank you in Christ's name. Amen. Amen.
Okay, well, that's it. Come back tomorrow, and we will finish this portion of the story.
Yep.
Y'all have a good night. We'll see you next time.
Bye. Good night, good night, good night.
Bye.